98 people died while they slept. The Surfside condo collapse wasn't an accident, it was a warning. A 12-story building turned to rubble in seconds. And the reasons behind it will make you question every structure around you. Welcome to Collapse Report. We follow the money from boardroom decisions to bankruptcy filings. Here's what happened when a building decided to fall down. On June 24, 2021, at 1:22 a.m., Champlain Towers South collapsed. A 12-story condominium in Surfside, Florida. Beachfront property, million-dollar units, and a death trap. The collapse took 12 seconds. 12 seconds for a building to become a pile of concrete and rebar. People were sleeping. They never woke up. 98 dead, 11 injured, hundreds displaced, and $1 billion in damages. But this wasn't a natural disaster. This wasn't an earthquake or a hurricane. This was a building that failed because people ignored the warning signs. For 40 years, let me show you the timeline. In 2018, an engineering report warned of major structural damage. The building's concrete was deteriorating. The waterproofing had failed. The pool deck was structurally unsound. The report estimated repair costs at $9 million. The condo association sat on the report for 3 years. They debated, they delayed, they worried about special assessments, about angry residents, about property values. Meanwhile, the building continued to deteriorate. In April 2021, 3 months before the collapse, the condo board finally approved the repairs, $16 million, double the original estimate. But work hadn't started yet. Permits were pending. Contractors were being selected. It was too late. The National Institute of Standards and Technology investigated. Their preliminary findings were damning. The building's design was flawed from the start. The pool deck was built flat instead of sloped, water pooled, concrete corroded, rebar rusted, the structural support weakened over decades. But the design wasn't the only problem. Maintenance was neglected, the waterproofing wasn't replaced, the concrete wasn't repaired, warning signs were ignored. This is the pattern. Deferred maintenance, cost-cutting, short-term thinking, and catastrophic failure. The Surfside collapse has implications far beyond Florida. There are thousands of buildings like Champlain Towers, built in the 1970s and 1980s. Concrete construction, coastal environments, salt air, water intrusion, deferred maintenance. How many are ticking time bombs? Florida has over 12,000 condominium buildings older than 30 years. Many are in similar condition. Many have similar maintenance issues. Many have condo boards that delay repairs to avoid special assessments. After Surfside, Florida passed new laws, mandatory inspections for buildings over 3 stories and 30 years old, structural reserve studies, maintenance funds. But implementation is slow, and many buildings still aren't compliant. The financial implications are staggering. The Surfside collapse generated over $1 billion in lawsuits against the condo association, against the engineers who inspected the building, against the developers who built it, against the city that approved it. Insurance companies paid out hundreds of millions. Then they raised rates or stopped writing policies for older buildings. The insurance market for condominiums in Florida is now in crisis. Property values plummeted, not just at Surfside, across Florida. Buyers are now asking about structural integrity, about maintenance reserves, about inspection reports. The market has changed, and the human cost? Unmeasurable. 98 people died, parents, children, grandparents, families destroyed, lives ended, dreams crushed, all because a building wasn't maintained, because warning signs were ignored, because money was prioritized over safety. The Surfside collapse is a case study in systemic failure. Engineers failed to communicate urgency, condo boards failed to act, regulators failed to enforce, insurance companies failed to require proof of maintenance. Everyone had a piece of the puzzle. No one put it together. This is the tragedy of the commons. Everyone owns the building. No one owns the problem until it's too late. So what should you take from this? First, buildings need maintenance. Concrete deteriorates. Waterproofing fails. Structures weaken. Ignoring maintenance doesn't save money. It multiplies costs. Eventually, it costs lives. Second, deferred maintenance is a debt that comes due. With interest. The $9 million repair in 2018 became $16 million in 2021, and ultimately cost $1 billion and 98 lives. Pay now, or pay much more later. Third, if you live in a condominium, get involved. Read the inspection reports. Ask about maintenance reserves. Demand action. Your life might depend on it. The Surfside collapse wasn't a freak accident. It was a predictable failure of a system that prioritized short-term savings over long-term safety. And it's happening in buildings across America. Right now, if this revealed something you didn't know, subscribe. Because next week, we're investigating another structural failure. One that could affect your commute. The money always tells the story. You just need to know where to look. This is Collapse Report, where we follow the money from boardroom decisions to bankruptcy filings.